all psychological suffering, all of it comes from thoughts and feelings. So when we can strip it back to that, when we can say, this is how problems emerge, it's my thoughts and my feelings. Now, this is not to invalidate them. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying this is how problems arise. And the thoughts and feelings are based on our cognitive style. I don't know if you remember me talking about the cognitive style. And this, when someone has a problem, this is where I go first. This is my access point. I need to work out, what is your cognitive style? Now, cognitive style means the pattern of your thinking, because although all of us are unique, the patterns are the same. And so my job is pattern recognition in someone, what is working and what is not working. So it's the cognitive distortion. So what is wrong, what is not working in a person's cognitive style. So we have errors in the way that we think. These distortions, they filter the reality, shaping our emotions, decisions, and behaviors. And to begin untangling these distortions, we must first examine our cognitive style, the habitual way we process the world. So they are habits. At its very core of the cognitive style, there are two primary factors. One is perception and one is attention. So how do we interpret reality and what are we focusing on? Together, the perception and the attention form our belief. And all of this is usually going on subconscious, just below that level of awareness. And because belief shape what we expect and what we perceive, they become deeply intertwined with the confirmation bias. So it's basically then what you believe, you will notice and you will seek confirmation on. So our tendency then is to seek out evidence that reinforces what we already believe. It doesn't help us at all. So if we have a cognitive distortion, an error in the way that we think, we will be looking for ways for that to be proved right. But, and here is the key insight, your cognitive style is not fixed. It can be changed, but we've got to first have a look at it to see what your style is. So we become aware of how we perceive and what we pay attention to, and then we can begin to work on shifting the cognitive style. And I think, Janet, you'll like this because it's quite strategic. It's whereas the awareness anchor is the first step. So the awareness anchor is the first step, because that's actually saying all of this is an illusion anyway. And an illusion doesn't mean it's not true. An illusion doesn't mean it's not real. An illusion just means it's not quite what it seems to be. And that's what we do with the awareness anchor. We go, hold on a minute, before the cognitive style takes place, because that takes place in the mind-body complex. But you would remember from the first workshop that before anything even hits the mind-body complex, it has to go through those two lenses of sense perception, and then of sense and perception, and then it becomes our cognitive style. So that's why the first step is the awareness anchor. The second step is, let's find out what your cognitive style is. And once we can work that out, we can start doing something about it. So this is just a kind of graphic of the same thing, of how problems emerge. They're born from our cognitive style. In other words, they're born from the way that we think. In the center, we have perception and attention. How do we perceive reality? And what are we putting our attention on? From that, we have beliefs. Every belief has a confirmation bias. And then as experiences come in, based on our belief or based on our cognitive perception, is how we're going to experience it. For one person, losing their job might just be the end of the world. For another person, they might see it as a huge, great opportunity. So it's not the thing, it's not what happened. That doesn't carry any weight at all. It's not good and it's not bad. It's how we're perceiving it and what we're putting our attention on that is causing the problem. So one thing we can look at is, what is your cognitive style? Because then we can really start working with we can go deeper. It's not so general anymore. We can start working with each other, working out what is your cognitive style. That's the first place that I always start when I'm working with someone. And the second thing is, how flexible is it? Because what we want to then start doing, if you have a problem, we look at the cognitive style and we're going to try and change it. How flexible is it? How much subconscious work do we need to do to shift that cognitive style? Because the reason that I work with the subconscious is, and many people work with the subconscious, is because there's less resistance. I can help you, I can give you mechanisms, I can give you skills and put them in your subconscious, and there's less resistance to them. And then if you have the audio and you keep playing it, then it will be able to get rooted in there, which makes life so much easier, so much easier. I think I've shared with you a few things of how I've managed to work with people and work with myself to change incredible things. I no longer eat anything that's wrapped in a wrapper. I put that into my subconscious. So anything that's like I implanted into my subconscious the fact that anything that comes from those, like, you know, chocolates or anything that's basically in a wrapper is not food for me. And it's incredible how you then don't see it as food anymore. It's amazing. Because it always does for everyone all the time. It's my experience.
Yeah.
Whether it's in my own life, the people that I've worked with, my family. I mean, just think about your experience. Has someone's problem ever not been worked out over time? So when I talk about life will present the answers to your problems, you've got situational problems. This is what life is going to work out for you, the situational problems. You've got your cognitive distortions that you're responsible to work out. So that's the difference. There is a distinction there. There's the circumstances, the situational problems. That's what life works out. Life will present the answers. But the distortions, the way, the mental constructs, the mental prisons that we've built to protect us and keep us safe, that's our responsibility to dissolve them. What I would suggest is life will present people and circumstances to you for your learning, for your expansion. And if you're getting the same people, the same circumstances that are triggering you, that are challenging for you, then there is something that you need to work through. Yeah. And life will keep presenting people and circumstances for you to dissolve them. because I would suggest that you're here to level up. You're here to level up. It's almost like a game. You can, sometimes I use the metaphor of a game. You know, we've entered this human experience, this game of life. We've all entered at different levels, depending on what level we finished at before. And all of these challenges and all of these obstacles are there for us to overcome and level up and exit at a different level, and then maybe even enter again. It's a big game. Yeah, yeah. And I think, you know, whilst yes, of course, there's real sadness, there's real tragedy, and life is not fair. And that's part of the human experience. Yeah.